So I wanted to just kind of spend this time. I know it's been a while since I've done a live stream. Miss you guys, and love being able to talk with you guys in real time. So thanks for bearing with me. Seems like no matter how many times I do this, something goes wrong right at the start. That's just what happens. So anyway, I wanted to start off really quick talking a little bit more about stuff that some things I've already mentioned before, stuff that we know is coming up in the park, some stuff that has happened, and just kind of chat with you guys a little bit, see, give your feedback as well as some of these things that I'm going to be bringing up. Oh, this is. I'm just glad that now everything's working. Oh, sorry guys. So, first thing that I want to mention is we know that the Tropical Hideaway is actually coming up pretty quickly. We don't know exactly when yet. All that Disneyland has repeatedly said about the Tropical Hideaway in Adventureland is that it's opening later this year. They still don't have an opening date for it, though things have started to change around the Tiki Room to accommodate the coming of the Tropical Hideaway. And like they redid the handicapped entrance for the Tiki Room. They made the exit a little bit wider, which I think is going to make it so that when you exit, you can either go into the Tropical Hideaway or the old route that you used to be able to go. But we just don't have any word yet on when it's going to open. However, today they did announce something I think is a really cute nod to the Tiki Room. If you're familiar with the Enchanted Tiki Room, you know that when the Birdmobile comes down and Pierre is naming off all the birds on the Birdmobile, that he says that well, Jose says, "I wonder what happened to Rosita." Well, Disneyland has announced that Rosita is actually going to be at the Tropical Hideaway. They're going to put her out there. She's starting a solo career, and so um, she's going to be out there singing, telling jokes, kind of like the Jungle Cruise style. Out there, I think that's a really cute little nod that they're putting in there. So that's something fun to look forward to. I'm still waiting on that. I'm not even sure how excited I am about the menu. I'm just more excited for the area. I think it's going to be fun to have a really vibrant, new, fresh part of Adventureland, especially in that area that has been ill used for many years. So that's kind of nice. We do know that in downtown Disney, there's a bunch of restaurants that are supposed to be opening very, very soon. I do see some of you asking about. I'm going to get to your questions in a little bit, so keep asking them, and I'm going to get to them for at least what I can tell you. So downtown Disney, there's a lot of restaurants that we know are coming soon, which is actually kind of exciting because they've moved from downtown Disney being just like a typical kind of outdoor mall that would be in any community. They're trying to make it more of a destination aimed toward vacationers, people who are out of town. And one thing that they really like are restaurants. And actually, Disneyland does not have a lot of restaurants inside the resort compared to other Disney parks. So it's nice that they're adding more in downtown Disney. So that's going to be really cool. Biggest thing that's happened lately is that the World of Disney refurb is finished, and it actually looks really nice. I went inside the semi-finished, both the semi-finished ones at Disneyland and Walt Disney World recently, and I'm very pleased with it because it actually is bringing it into a more modern feel, and it's not as crowded. They've moved some merchandise to other stores. I don't know if that was supposed to be temporary. I think it was meant to be permanent. It's like the Disney Home Store and the Disney Dress Shop. I think they were trying to move some merchandise to other locations so that they could make some room um, inside the World of Disney store. And it looks really, really nice. And it's easier to navigate and it's easier to find things. Like I think it's a big deal that it's opening and it looks a lot nicer. I'm not a big fan of the cast member uniforms. At least not the ones that I've seen. I haven't been there in person to be able to really say for certain, but um, that's what I would say about it. But it's kind of cool. It's cool that they fixed that up. One thing I actually really wanted to mention to you guys For those of you who don't get to go to both coasts very often, obviously over the summer in California, Pixar Pier was finished, and in Florida, Toy Story Land was finished. And I think Disney really focused a lot on Toy Story Land. They really relied heavily on um, pushing that in Florida, and it's, I gotta say, a couple weeks ago we got to actually go to Toy Story Land for the first time, and first thing that went through our minds was Pixar Pier is better. It just kind of is. Even though not a whole lot changed in Pixar Pier compared to Toy Story Land, which was a whole new area with a new ride that they completely designed brand new. I mean, the Alien Swirling Saucers is the same as Mater's Junkyard Jamboree. But Pixar Pier was just the better done place. It added a lot more. It's more exciting. The Incredicoaster is a superior coaster to the Slinky Dog Dash. And so Pixar Pier is actually it's the better one. So if you don't get a chance to go to both coasts very often, I mean, you still have to go to Toy Story Land just so you can say you've been there, but it's not like you're missing a lot. It wasn't the best addition. The Pixar Pier, however, every time I go, it's just clear how well they actually did in a short period of time with not really adding anything really new, just kind of retheming. And it's just really, really awesome that they did that. So those are the sorts of things that we know are coming up. Obviously, there are some rumors that are starting to swirl around about the new Marvel themed land, because not Pixar Pier, A Bug's Land is gone. Like, they've even demolished it. But there are rumors swirling around about Marvel themed land, what it will entail. I choose at this point not to really delve too much into rumors because they're going to change so much. There are also rumors going around about maybe a new Tomorrowland is going to be in store sooner than later. An expansion for Fantasyland. People are talking about that. I'm not sure that would happen. Maybe it could happen. At this point, it's hard to say what the future of Disneyland's really going to hold, because outside of the Downtown Disney refurbishment and the finishing of Pixar Pier and the Marvel Theme Land and Galaxy's Edge, we don't know anything beyond that. Obviously, we're all disappointed when Disney officially announced that the fourth hotel is no more. It's not happening. They're not doing it. I don't know what they're going to do in its place. People have wondered maybe they're going to go back to trying to do the Eastern Gateway again. I wonder if they're going to still try to fix up the Western Gateway. I don't really know at this point. Disney hasn't made any decisions. Obviously, they're trying to bring back as many businesses on the western part of Downtown Disney that they can, so that they can revitalize it and actually use it now that it's not going to be demolished. But we'll have to just see. Right now, it's just all up to rumors and speculation, and who really knows. That's really what we know about what's coming up in the future right now. In a little bit, I want to mention some stuff about holidays, like just holidays in general. Holidays, year-round holidays, not just the holiday season. It just helps that tomorrow's Halloween. That's what made me think of it, but not just the holiday season was what I want to talk about. I was noticing that some of you guys are helping each other out in the chat, which I'm grateful for. That you guys are kind of answering some of each other's questions, which are great. Pixar Pier never got a lot of the press like Toy Story, did they? They really didn't. Not the same kind. I think they focused more on like the Western United States. Like, sure, they'll care about Pixar Pier, but Toy Story Land got nationwide coverage, which it just wasn't proportionate for what it was like really added. So it's very true. Toy Story Land does need shade. Bugs Land did have really good shade because of those clovers. Toy Story Land could use it. Also, Toy Story Land was interesting that they built a restaurant, but they didn't build enough seating for the restaurant, which was bizarre to me. Like, you have all this area, you can build something else. Anyway, that's just my personal opinion, probably. But go ahead and keep asking any questions that you have. One thing I wanted to mention about holidays. With those coming up, they're really popular times for people to come to the parks. But what a lot of people don't realize is that holidays may or may not be a good time to go if you like crowds. If you don't like crowds, or if that's all you care about is just avoiding crowds, you don't care what is or is not open, some holidays are actually not too bad. Any of the springtime holidays, really not a big deal at all. Even when you lead up to Memorial Day, I go to Memorial Day all the time. Love it. For some reason, it's like the least busy day around it. People are going to Disneyland every other day, but not Memorial Day. Ever since Disney redid their ticket pricing system for the 1-day tickets, so they are on tiers, it's helped a lot with the summer holidays. But 4th of July isn't anything really huge that to have to be worried about. It's not too much busier than a normal summer day. Same thing with Labor Day. Halloween is actually not terrible if you go at the right time or if you go to the Halloween party, because they only let so many people into the Halloween party. It's not terrible. The only thing that really makes it crowded would be people who are not part of the party. Thanksgiving Day. Interesting that someone just brought that up with Thanksgiving Day. I have not been to the parks on Thanksgiving Day, but what I know about it is that it's actually not that crowded. Most people don't go to Disneyland on Thanksgiving Day. And so it's actually known for being a pretty good day to go if you're wanting to be there on Thanksgiving Day. However, with all these holidays that are not really a big deal to go, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, the day after Christmas, New Year's Eve, and New Year's Day are all terrible days to go for crowds because there's just far too many people to be there. So might not be your best option. Any new fireworks coming? I'm sure that they're going to have some. My guess is that since next summer is when Galaxy's Edge is going to be opening, that they're going to probably have a new fireworks show set up for Galaxy's Edge. That's probably going to be Star Wars themed. I suspect that next summer is going to be everything Star Wars. That's my guess. I don't know for certain. They usually withhold announcing that sort of stuff until maybe December at the earliest, though I would expect January, February, when they really start letting people know what their celebrations are for the summer so they can build the hype and people can start planning their vacations, because that's usually when people are planning their summer vacations, is around that time. So that's usually why they wait until that point. Sorry, looking at one request about dining reviews of the Cafe Orleans and Blue Bayou. So with dining reviews, the ones that we've done, and it's been a while since we've done one. We need to do another one. We just don't go to as many quick service restaurants as we like. My whole thing about why I don't like to do table service dining videos is because while I'm there, I want to just enjoy myself. And I know you guys want to enjoy it too. And it's not like I'm saying I don't care about you guys. It's just that it really takes away a lot from the experience when you're filming. I've been thinking about potentially working it out. Maybe it would be more like a voiceover video and not so much a live one to talk about them. We do have our dining reviews on our website about most of the table service restaurants, and so you can always check out there as well to see what we think about them. But I mean, let me know what you guys think about doing the table service restaurants. I know that there's been several requests for them. I'm just trying to figure out a way to do it that doesn't get in the way. And also with Blue Bayou, it would be so hard to film because it's so dark in there. But it would be kind of cool. It would just depend on what I could do. But taking a lot of pictures, that may be a possibility. Yeah, I've heard that it's not... Sorry, I was just looking through more of your... it's not packed on Thanksgiving Day. It's not. But they also do have... On Thanksgiving, if you're interested, you can always go to the Disneyland Hotel, usually is where this is hosted, where they do a big Thanksgiving dinner for guests. It's limited seating available, and it does tend to sell out pretty quickly, but it's also very expensive. But then you get to say that you had Thanksgiving dinner at the Disneyland Hotel, which is kind of cool. But it may not be, for some families, I can imagine that's not going to be the ideal situation, is to have Thanksgiving dinner at Disneyland. Some people would rather be somewhere else. I might fall into that category. As much as I love Disneyland, I actually don't want to be there on major holidays, except Halloween. I would go there on Halloween, but not Thanksgiving or Christmas. We went a couple days after Christmas. That was a mistake. Far too many people. That was a mistake. So go ahead and keep the questions coming as you guys are thinking about them. I'm trying to remember what else there was that was coming up soon, because this is the time of year where news tends to start slowing down again, because they are... Sorry if there's a lot of buffering problems, guys. I actually thought it would work better on this internet, but just bear with me and we'll get through it. I completely lost my train of thought, what I was talking with. Anyways, there's a lot of videos that I'm working on in the future. Time has just kind of gotten away from me for the last little bit to be able to get everything out to you guys that I want to. So just kind of bear with me a little bit. I know I keep saying I'm going to get a hold of things and it doesn't always work, but we're working on it. Remember what I was talking about. This is the slow news time for Disneyland because they're wrapping up everything. And so they don't start announcing new things until the beginning of the year. January, February are usually really, really busy times for announcements. And then that leads us into the summer. That would be interesting, whether or not Elena of Avalor would be coming back for the holidays. Not exactly sure, because I know that originally they intended on Elena of Avalor being a permanent thing at Disney parks, and that only lasted a few months, and then they took it out, so we'll have to wait a little bit. From what I understand, it doesn't sound like they're planning on changing a whole lot of their holiday offerings, so possibly Elena would still be part of the Viva Navidad show. I would expect that at this point. It doesn't seem like they're wanting to tamper too much with their Halloween and holiday offerings too much. Are they going to be selling alcohol at Star Wars Land? Yes, they're going to be. It's going to completely change this decades-long tradition at Disneyland of being a dry park. It's actually one of the only dry parks worldwide that Disney has is Disneyland Park, which is why I was never surprised by that announcement. At first I heard it, I was like, oh man, they're going to do that. And I thought, well, everyone at Disneyland is kind of already drunk anyway because they just leave the park, get a drink in Downtown Disney or at California Adventure, and then they come back. And so they're already kind of getting drunk anyway, so it doesn't make a huge difference. And really at Disney parks, the only time that you ever see and have problems with people who are visibly drunk are during the food and wine festivals. A little bit at California Adventure, a lot of it at Epcot. But those are the only times you really have to worry about there being a lot of people who are very drunk. Other than that, Disney does a good job at keeping people fairly sober, even while serving them alcohol. That's one reason why their alcoholic beverages are so expensive. And also, they do kind of cut guests off after a while if they can tell they've had too many. So it is kind of the end of an era, but it's ushering in a new time at Disneyland now. And I think it kind of makes sense that they're building a cantina, so why not build a bar, make it a bar along with it. Actually getting really, really, really excited for Galaxy's Edge. I think it's going to be really, really cool. The more finished it gets, the more you realize that actually they've done such a good job at making it fit the area. You don't even hardly know that it's there because it kind of blends in with Thunder Mountain a little bit, and then it blends in with the trees. So they were very, very, very smart when they built that. And the trees that are along the rivers of America right now that don't really block everything in Star Wars Land, they will grow in, and then it won't be a problem. Food and wine at California Adventure is usually in the spring. It's usually when they hold the California Adventure Food and Wine Festival. We went for the first time this last year. Super fun. Really enjoyed it. Especially if you're an annual pass holder, you get the Sip and Savor Pass. It saves you a ton of money and allows you to really sample things from all different carts. So it's really fun. I actually really enjoyed it. That was how we planned our meals. We just spent $45 each, and you got 8 things at different carts. So it was worth it. Totally cool. What is the new area next to Tiki Room? The Tropical Hideaway, as I mentioned before. It's hard for me to call it a restaurant because the menu is so limited. It only is going to be selling a handful of things. And my guess is because the kitchen is just going to be really small and it can't handle a lot of big things. But it's mostly just going to be a lounge area. I think the reason that they decided to do it was because that area was so underutilized. The only thing that people really used it for was for the companion restroom back there. And they would use it as an entrance for meet and greets. But really, they can do meet and greets in other places. So I think they just felt, we have this space. Why don't we at least let guests go and enjoy it and have places to sit and relax? And it's actually going to be used instead of just back there and we're not doing anything with it. So it's kind of a restaurant. It's just kind of a place to sit down. I think it's just going to be this kind of fun no man's land between the Tiki Room and the Jungle Cruise because you can see it from both attractions. And so they're kind of fitting in between the two. So that's going to be kind of cool. We'll figure out exactly more how this will be classified when it gets opened and see how people kind of treat it. So we'll know then. So I'm just looking through Cheryl coming back from Walt Disney World. They didn't have Nightmare Before Christmas Halloween overlay. Yeah, the Haunted Mansion at Walt Disney World for Halloween is a really big disappointment. I mean, it's just like it is anywhere else, but you'd think that for Halloween they would try to do something big with it, and they don't. Whereas at Disneyland, I know there's some people that complain because The Nightmare Before Christmas is really so much more of a Christmas movie than Halloween, and so they don't get to ride the classic version at Halloween time. But it's also just really fun. It makes it different. And that's one thing that they like is that for the holiday season, it can be different. Plus, since it takes them 2 weeks to set it up and 2 weeks to tear it down, they don't want it up for just a month and a half, and then they take it down. That's just not worth their time. So if they're going to do it, they're going to have to do it through Halloween. Yeah, food and wine at Walt Disney World does get really crowded. Seriously, it's funny how California Adventure is the smaller park. It's one of the smallest Disney parks that they have. And yet when they have a big festival like Food and Wine, which is a really big deal and people flock to it, it's not near as busy as it is at Epcot when they do their Food and Wine Festival. But, that's just how it works. So, those are the sorts of things that we have coming along. I assume that in the next couple of weeks, they're going to finalize everything that they're doing for the holidays. Everything they've said so far just makes it sound like they're not really planning on changing anything for the holiday season that they have done in previous years. So that would mean that we can expect the Haunted Mansion holiday to continue, and it's a Small World holiday. Probably, there's no word about them bringing back the Jingle Cruise, so probably not that again. But all the same thing, a Christmas Fantasy Parade, Believe in Holiday Magic fireworks at night, the same thing in a Cars Land, all that decked out, which is super, super fun. I think they're still planning on that. And okay, let me see. Out of all the holidays, which one is the best to go to Disneyland? It depends on what you're wanting to get out of it. If you want fewer crowds, personally, I would actually say, my answer to both questions would probably be Halloween. I just love Halloween time at Disneyland. It's super, super cool. Especially if you like kind of creepy things, not scary things, just creepy things. It's really cool at Disneyland. And if you go to a Halloween party, it's not crowded. You can even just go to the Halloween party and not get regular park tickets. You can just go to the Halloween party and get a lot done. So it's kind of worth the price that you're paying for the Halloween party. If you're wanting things that are really, really fun to do and that are really holiday specific, then either Halloween or Christmas are going to have a lot of that. If you want to get all the Christmas theming, but not the Christmas crowds, then you can go around Thanksgiving time and you won't have that problem. But that's what I would say about which holidays are best to go at Disneyland, but it really just depends on what you want to get out of it. Because it changes from person to person. So those are my personal opinions on it, is that I would say Halloween. They are working on the Falcon. Will it be done before it opens? Are you talking about whether or not the Millennium Falcon will be done before they open Galaxy's Edge? I'm sure it will, because it's already getting in place. They've already been working on it. And they've had so much time. I'm sure that everything's going to be ready by the time Galaxy's Edge opens, if that's what your question is. I understand it best. Where is the best hot chocolate at the parks for the holidays? Oh, that's a hard question. If you go to the Jolly Holiday, you can always find what they call the abuelita, which is a Mexican spiced hot chocolate. And by Mexican, it just means cinnamon spiced. But it's really good. Though usually for me, when I go for hot chocolate, I just go to any of the Starbucks locations because I really love their hot chocolate. But there's some of the few places that serve specialty hot chocolate. Outside of that, everywhere else you go is kind of just like generic Nestle hot chocolate that I found. Unless you go to like some of the other restaurants and get some there. Usually the ones in downtown Disney or in the hotels might have something a little bit different. Is it too cold to go on Splash Mountain at Christmas? I would say it depends where you're from. We're from a place that gets really, really cold in the winters. And so when we go to California in December, it's warm for us. And so we don't mind going on Splash Mountain in the middle of the day or Grizzly River Run. We might make sure that it's the middle of the day, but we don't have a big problem with it because we don't really find it all that cold. But if you're from someplace that's warm, you might not want to go on it. So it depends on where you're from and what you consider cold. When Star Wars Land opens next year, would Star Tours move there or stay at Tomorrowland? If you want, do you want to hear my really sad theory about Star Tours? I'm 100% certain they're going to leave it in Tomorrowland. I think that's one reason why you can end in Batuu, which is Galaxy's Edge. That's the planet that Galaxy's Edge takes place on. Is that they're trying to create a bridge between the two, that you're boarding a star speeder in Tomorrowland, but then you end up in Batuu. And that's what they're trying to do there, is trying to make sense why it's not in Galaxy's Edge. But given what I've seen at Pandora, at Walt Disney World, and everything they've been able to do there with motion simulators and all the technology that they have, I think that once Galaxy's Edge opens, Star Tours has a limited amount of time before it's actually going to be open, because it's already at this point nearly 40 years old, the technology. Nearly. It's still like 30 plus years old. And there's only so much they can do to update it. And it will just be like a really obvious difference between what you have with the Millennium Falcon attraction and the First Order attraction and Star Tours. So I think that its days will be numbered when Galaxy's Edge opens. And it's sad because I love Star Tours. I love it to death. But I think we might be saying goodbye to it within just 5 to 7 years after Galaxy's Edge opens. We'll have to see. I could be wrong, but that's my personal theory. So, what are the highs and lows you found sharing your Disney passion and adventures on YouTube? The highs is I love being able to, I actually just always, anytime I'm around anywhere, I love giving advice to people on Disney trips. I'm one of the weird people that I can hear someone say the word Disneyland from a mile away and I perk up and I want to get involved in the conversation. And I would do this anyway, so the YouTube channel is just an extension of what I do with my life. And so it's just fun that I get an outlet for that. The lows are how very, very passionate people get about their opinions when they differ from yours. I don't have a problem if people have a different opinion. I really don't. But, sometimes it's just a matter of like, I'm not saying your opinion is wrong. I'm saying your opinion is different. And based on my experience, then this is why my opinion is different from yours. And some people just get very, very concerned. The video I did a while ago about things like, what did I call it? Things that I think you shouldn't bother getting. Don't waste your money on. Yeah, what not to buy. What it's called, is what not to buy at Disneyland. And I put in there, don't buy the popcorn because it's just pop secret and it's nothing really special. Most of it is. There's some flavored popcorn, but not very much. And I know that there's been a lot of people that were very vocal about how much they love the popcorn. I'm like, okay, you can love it. I will let you buy my share of the popcorn. If you want to collect the popcorn buckets, that's a different thing. But just because you love the popcorn, I'm surprised by that. So my opinion is a little bit different than yours. But that's the biggest thing to get used to, is that some people get very, very adamant about it to the point where they get very rude. I'm like, okay, it's all good. We're just here sharing ideas. Not a big thing. Um, is it true they're changing Tomorrowland to update to the future today? I mean, that's what all the rumors are saying, is that we can expect a Tomorrowland update sometime in the early 2020s, after they're done with Galaxy's Edge and the new Marvel Land. But there's been no official thing. I'm hoping that they will soon. I think the fact that they don't have any plans to replace like Star Wars Launch Bay, or anything like that once Galaxy's Edge opens is indicator that they are trying to vacate spaces so that they can put something else there. Same thing with using the Tomorrowland Theater as nothing more than just a catch-all theater. Like right now it's doing Pixar shorts, which has nothing to do with Tomorrowland. And they're not even in 3D. It's just, they're there. Maybe they were in 3D. Can't remember now. But it's the fact that it still doesn't fit in Tomorrowland that much. I think they're getting ready to vacate some of these buildings so that they can build something else in there. Especially, I think they're probably planning on getting rid of the Carousel Theater. You never know, but that is the rumor that they're supposed to be working on a new Tomorrowland very shortly. So I would love to see Tomorrowland remodel. Tomorrowland is my favorite land. I love it, even as it is, even though I see that it's struggling. I just love the whole idea behind it, and I love the look of it. So I'm just hoping that they can refresh it and bring it, find a way to remember, capture what it was originally meant to be, and keep it going into the future. Bringing back the Rainforest Cafe, that would be nice for some people. I actually have never been to the Rainforest Cafe, though everything I've seen about it, I'm just like, I'm good without it. I know that there's a lot of people who are very passionate about keeping the Rainforest Cafe. I don't know that Rainforest Cafe is going to be coming back because they've already vacated the premises and emptied the building. So I don't think they're interested on coming back and doing it again. So that's probably one that's not going to be coming back to Downtown Disney. And we know that the ESPN Zone is not coming back because Disney has officially closed that brand. They're not doing that anymore. So that restaurant, if they do still keep it as a restaurant, will be something different. If they do anything with that building, we'll see what happens. Is the Plaza Inn dining package for the Holiday Fantasy Parade worth the price? I don't think that any dining package for the daytime parades is worth the price. I'm just going to say that there. It does have its perks, but the daytime parades are really easy to find a place to sit, or at least to find a place to view the parades. It's not too difficult if you wait just like, I wouldn't even personally wait more than a half an hour, and you're going to find a really good place to sit and to see the parade. And so for me, I just wouldn't go for it, especially since the Plaza Inn is not... I don't personally think it's fantastic food. I haven't had their fried chicken lately, but I don't remember being blown away by it. I thought it was good, but not fantastic. And so then I also would just be like, I'm not interested in spending money on something at the Plaza Inn more than what it would already cost. So that's me personally, but I know that there are other people that would disagree. And it is nice that you don't have to try and find your spot. It's already there for you. So that is a perk. Although I will say that we've done the dining package thing, like the alfresco terrace thing for Paint the Night, and it was good. It wasn't great. We actually had a harder time seeing some of the floats than we would have if we had just been watching it at a different part of the park. So it just depends on how you feel about that. Okay, don't even get me started on the Muppet Vision 3D thing. I wish they would bring it back. When we were just in Walt Disney World, we went on to Muppet Vision 3D there, and literally the theater was packed. It was like 10 a.m., 10 or 11 a.m., and the theater was packed. Like, there was not a seat that was empty, and they had to hold people back in the pre-show area because there was no place for them to be in the theater. And I was like, well, not like they closed down Muppet Vision 3D while the park was slow and not drawing in all the crowds that it currently is drawing in. But that's neither here nor there. I think at this point they like having a spare theater to use for previews, and so they're not interested in bringing Muppet Vision back right now, I don't think. But it would be nice if they did. I just don't think it's going to happen, which is unfortunate. And to be quite honest, I would say that still Hollywoodland is struggling, and they're going to struggle more when the Marvel themed land opens because their only e-ticket attraction will be annexed with the Marvel themed land. So we'll see. How early should we arrive in the mornings on a busy day? First thing, as soon as you can. If you have a magic morning, go during magic morning. If you're staying at the hotels, go for extra magic hour. If you don't have one of those, be there as early as you can. Earlier the better. You get in while there's actually fewer people in the parks because a lot of the locals will come later in the day. And you get first pick of the fast passes. I personally love going first thing in the day, as soon as you possibly can get there. That's my personal thing. Any idea when or what is replacing Paint the Night Parade? I hope nothing. I really love Paint the Night Parade. Paint the Night is one of the best shows that Disney has done in a very long time. So I hope that they don't replace it with anything, or if anything, it just goes back to Disneyland. Because I'm not a big fan of the Incredibles float. I think it's fine, but I miss the Frozen float, which they just can't make room for it at California Adventure. But no word on if they're replacing it right now, and I hope that they don't. Like literally what time to get there. Like she's asking like what time to actually get there on a busy day. An hour before opening I think is a bit of a waste of time. I would get there maybe half hour to 15 minutes before opening, just because you can get there an hour before opening, but then there's just going to be a humongous line that you'll just still have to sit there and wait in, and you're not really saving any time, you're just waiting in a different line. So why not just come a little bit later, and it's not going to be that much of that's not going to make that much of a difference, honestly. Because if you come a little bit later, they open up new lines, because the lines that they were using for extra magic hours and magic mornings, they open up for the normal guests. So the lines get shorter. So I would say 15 minutes to half an hour. Probably be good enough. If I could change something at Disneyland, what would it be? If it was like one thing, to be honest, I think that I would bring back Muppet Vision. It's kind of a waste of space. The more that we go to Florida, the more I'm like, I miss this attraction. It needs to be in California again. If I could just change one thing, if I can change multiple things, I think that this list would be longer. But that's the major thing that I would change, because it's just kind of a waste of space, and it's not drawing in the people it should be. How late would be too late to get a locker? I don't really use lockers very much, because I just don't pack things that I am not willing to carry around with me. But they do tend to fill. It depends on the size of the locker. If you're okay with a small locker, you usually can find those any time of day. If you need a big locker, you need to go pretty much first thing. Otherwise, they get used up, because there's not very many big lockers. So it depends on the size. The smaller the locker you need, the less it matters when you go. And the bigger locker you need, the earlier you need to go if you want to get one of those lockers. And everyone's saying hi. Everyone. I mean, even if they really did use the former Frozen float to make the Incredibles float, that doesn't mean that they can't rebuild the Frozen float. This is not outside the realm of possibilities. And to be honest, it would be the easier float to build anyway, because it doesn't have near as many moving parts. I don't even remember it having really any moving parts. So it would actually be easy for them to rebuild it if that was the case. For advice for a first timer going to Walt Disney World. First of all, prepare for disappointment when you arrive at the Magic Kingdom. If you're very, very used to Disneyland and you're going to the Magic Kingdom, prepare to be a little bit disappointed. Things are really spread out. The hub is just not what it used to be. At Disneyland, it's still full of trees, and you have the statue, and it's just this very picturesque area. Main Street USA is very much like it's just a typical American street that happens to, for some reason, have a castle at the end. Whereas when you go to Disney World, it very much feels like here is a large Victorian street, and there is our castle. Because you're expecting it, and that's what it's going to be. So it's not the same. Tomorrowland is a big disappointment in Magic Kingdom. The attractions are fun, but the land is a joke. Like, literally, they're making fun of Tomorrowland. They're making fun of themselves. And it just kind of gets annoying for someone who loves Tomorrowland that it's just all a big joke. And the Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger spin is not near as fun as Astro Blasters. The Magic Kingdom, let's see. Yeah, so just, it's going to be weird and a little bit disappointing. But also just get used to spending time with transportation. Disneyland, you don't really have to deal much with transportation because you can walk from one part to the other in like 10-15 minutes. like if you're in the middle of one park, getting to the middle of another park will take you like 10-15 minutes max. Whereas for Disney World, I usually plan at least a half an hour. So it really just depends. But transportation just takes a lot at Walt Disney World, so get used to that. This is why I really love Disneyland and why it's like my home away from home. Anyway, so thanks for your questions, guys, and I hope that this helps you at least a little bit. I'm hoping to remember to do more live chats in the future because I actually miss doing this, and I love getting to talk with you guys and answer more questions and just even see you guys interacting with each other. It's a lot of fun, and I'm sorry again for all the technical difficulties along the way. I'm hoping that as time goes on, I'll eventually just be able to have all of this figured out, and it won't be a huge deal. But this is our Tuesday video for this week. But we'll be back hopefully later this week with a news video because one is very due, and it'll be some of the stuff that I've mentioned today already, just in more detail, and possibly even answer some of your questions because there's one that just popped up that I'm like, to be honest, I don't know the answers to these things. Oh, and that's actually a good idea for a video as well. So we'll see what happens. But thank you guys so much for everything, and I hope you're having a great day. Thanks for subscribing. I really appreciate everything that you guys do. I appreciate all the viewers. I appreciate the comments and the shares and everything, because that just this channel is literally, I have just over 2,700 subscribers, and this is literally 2,600 more than I thought would ever actually subscribe, because I just wanted to do it for fun. So thank you guys so much, and keep those comments and everything coming because it gives me a lot of really great ideas and helps me know what you guys are wanting to know more about so you can plan your trips better. So thanks everyone, and we'll see you later. All right, bye.